Hello, hello. I'm just trying to figure out my lighting situation. Somehow it's like making me feel like there is a blue light from the outside and there is a yellow line all around me. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm just got distracted by my own image. Okay, so we're doing live readings today. I do have a few people from the previous live last week, April 21st, so I'm going to work through those. I think I might close the list for now so that I get to people that I already have on the list. And then as I get through them, we can potentially reopen them. So be patient with me. Hi, Julia. Hi, if you guys are watching, let me know where you're watching from. So the list is closed for now because I do want to get through with the people that have already sent donations my way, because ideally I wouldn't want to have a really long list. If you are sending a donation now, if you'd like a reading, you will definitely make it on my list, but it might have to wait until next time. Hi, Julie. I'm glad you made it. Let me know where you're watching from. Who's here? And if you already sent me a donation, you can just sort of like wave your hand in the chat and say that you have sent it. So I know that you're here and I can pull up your chart and we can dive in. Hi, Mystic Road. Who's in the list? I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people on the list. That's why I really want to. Oh, hi, Jess. I just got your Venmo. Thank you so much. SP, I didn't know you did live readings. Monica, yes, I saw your donation as well. Okay, Jessica, we can start with you. I already pulled up your chart. What is your question? And Monica, if you want to write your question next, I know you said you have to run. We can definitely try to attack your question next. Yeah, so for now, I'm closing the list just so I can get through people that have donated last time. I may reopen it because some of those people might not show up. And so just, stick around and see how it goes. The readings are suggested donation. There should be payment links in the description of the video. It's basically pay what you can. So hi, Kelly. Hi, you're in England. You're saying we'll try to catch the list next time. Nams is saying, can you do mine today? It's a little urgent. So I do have people who have sent donations and they're on my list. If you would like a reading, if you have an urgent question, you're welcome to visit my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and schedule your reading. I have availability starting, what is today? Monday, Wednesday. You can book a reading on Wednesday. Unless NAMZ, did you send me a donation? Are you on my list? Okay. So Jess, let's start with you. And again, if you send me a donation last week, then you just raise your hand, say that you're here, and I will make sure I'll get to you. Okay. Speaking of that, I see Sherida just sent a donation. Okay, I'll add you to my list, but that's again something I'm just gonna take it as it comes. We'll see who's here, and then we'll just keep going, I guess. Okay, so Jess. Let me share my screen so we're looking at your chart. Julia, thank you so much. You're saying I've been watching you and your videos have been amazing, fellow Libra rising follower. How has your retrograde beginning of the year been? Okay, Jess, opening your chart. Let me also open your chart with the transits. So I have both available to me. And I'm about to share my screen. Let's see how this goes. Nam says, how can I send a donation? I'm from another country, like I'm from India. There's PayPal. If PayPal works for you, if that doesn't work, there's also There's also YouTube allows to do like a tip thing, but I would prefer to do the PayPal if you can, but that's another option if that's not sort of working. Okay, Jess, let me focus on you. So just to double check, we got Cancer Sun, Scorpio Moon, Leo Rising. Is that you? Does this look correct? Just to make sure. And you're saying I've had a crazy 6 years. What does the next 6 years look like, love and career, life wise? Also, really hoping to meet someone. I've been single for 6 years. So 6 years is a long period of time. It might require more analyzing that we have time for, but we'll definitely take a look at some of the important things, potentially for the next couple of years. I think, some cycles might be longer cycles, but 6 years is just like sort of a major period, I guess, to look at. Okay, so you're saying the chart is correct. Hi, Marcel from Victoria, British Columbia. How exciting. Okay, so let's see. Why have the last 6 years been crazy for you? So one thing that comes sort of to my attention immediately is the fact that Pluto has been in Capricorn until very recently, and you have your sun relatively, no, I mean, like in the last decade of Cancer. So that means Pluto would have definitely started affecting your sun and maybe sextiling your moon as well, but that would have been a more positive effect. And then Pluto, in general, I think being from 2008 until 2025 in your sixth house of work, health, and service could have also brought up maybe a lot of like topics around independence here and boundaries and self-reliance and transforming bad habits and things like that. So the good news, that is done. The bad news, Pluto is now in your house of relationships. Nabs, you're saying you don't have PayPal, and can I make the YouTube thing active? It should be part of the YouTube as is. There is on the bottom of the screen. I mean, for me, it's the bottom of the screen, but there should be a $sign where you can just sort of do a donation. But again, I do have a lot of people on the list, so I may not get to you today in any case. Hi, Jay Moo. Hi, Austin. How is Austin? How are things in Austin? Okay, just saying all good, near future then. Yeah, so okay, so you're asking about relationships and you're asking about the near future. So Pluto is going to be in your house of relationships for the next 20 years. That is for sure a big deal. That does suggest that relationships will be a major point of focus for you all the way until 2043. Pluto will bring up all the questions around what you need, all of your desires. A lot of times they will show up through people in your life. So it might, like let's say you want passion and you haven't felt deep passion for a while. And maybe you meet someone who is like very intense and it feels to you like it's about them coming on too strongly, but they can actually be reflecting the passion you seek. There will be potentially important questions around power and vulnerability in relationships, and your relationship sector will be very, very active starting next year. In fact, in February, we're going to have the first eclipse in Aquarius. The first eclipse since 2007, 2008, which very much draws a ton of attention to your house of relationships. Like it's just major spotlight with major windows of opportunity, new beginnings, important developments. So I think in that regard, next year potentially is going to be really big. And then the actual nodal cycle of Aquarius Leo eclipses begins in July 2026, and then it lasts for a year and a half after that. So romantically, a lot of developments. It's your Saturn return starting May 24th this year. So this year it's from May 24th until September 1st. And then next year it begins in February and it lasts all the way until 2028. That is an important period of maturity and growth. That could be very much about education. It could be about some kind of like legal matters. It could be about relocation. Do you live abroad? Do you live in a different place that you were born in? Because if you don't, your chart very much says that your identity is likely to sort of shine the most when you move away from home. So where do you live now, Jess? And are you planning to move? Because maybe the move is coming your way. Maybe there is some kind of important opportunity coming your way. Saturn returns tend to be more friendly for day charts. You're born during the day with the sun above the horizon. So I think that's a positive sign. But it's always a major period of kind of growth, maturation, important decisions, pressures, and commitments. Saturn returns often make you feel like you have to really make a lot of grown-up choices, I think. And people get married, people have kids, people change jobs. Especially if you've been working on something, Saturn return can be the time of recognition and kind of important developments in that area. Jess, are you still here? Let me know. And again, if somebody already sent me a donation and you're watching, I know Monica was here. So if you sent a donation in the last couple of weeks, let me know. If I didn't get to you, we can definitely do your reading now. So I'm not sure if Jess is still here. She can probably rewatch this later. I guess a couple of other things. Let me see. Nams, you're asking how much is the minimum donation. This is up to you, as much as you are able to donate, because I want to make these open to people who cannot afford my full size readings. So whatever you feel comfortable donating works. And thank you again to people who are donating, because that's also kind of nice for me. So, okay, for Jess, another thing, when there's a lot of focus on the house of relationships next couple of years, there's going to be also South Node in your first house, which could be an important personal transformation. The South Node will be conjoining your Venus, which rules your house of siblings, neighbors, community. I actually see multiple signs of multiple signs of relocation. Jess, so this will be recorded and you are the first person. You can always just like jump back on. Jay is asking, is there a room for reading today if I donate? So there might be. A lot depends on whether people that are on my list will show up, because I don't know if they will. But there is a chance that it might be next week. So if you don't mind, Jay, if you don't mind just waiting a little bit to see how it goes, then we'll sort of figure it out later. Yeah, Jess. So I talked about your Saturn return. I talked about relationships. I did mention that I see you potentially relocating. I think there are a few signs of that. With Jupiter about to go into your 12th house, there might be some kind of major spiritual development in your life with Jupiter in the 12th, and then Jupiter going into your first house and South Node being in the first house. Like, change in terms of what you do for a living, change in terms of how you present yourself, becoming like a teacher or a life coach or some kind of more visible personality type. And I think those are, I think, main things that jump at me. Jess, are you planning to relocate at all? Do you see that for yourself? And I was also wondering if you moved away from the place you were born, because your chart is very much encouraging you to relocate and sort of find yourself in a faraway land, which could be a lot of different possibilities, of course. KB says, I'm guessing the time is closed to get a reading. It is closed for now, just because I have a few people on my list and I want to make sure I get to them, but I may reopen it very shortly, because as of right now, I think Monica is the only one that's someone who submitted a donation and is here. So Jess is saying, no plans currently, would love to move abroad. Yes, have moved away from home. Yeah, because you're Leo rising, ruled by the sun in the 12th house. So part of your identity is connected to shining light on things that are hidden below the surface. And it is quite exciting that on June 9th, Jupiter is going to enter Cancer and will stay here until June 30th, 2026. Encouraging you to connect with your inner wisdom. And then after June 2020, June 30, 2026, it's going to go into your first house of identity, visibility, teaching, guiding, empowering other people. So I think the next year you're going on some kind of important personal internal journey. And then the year after that, as the eclipses start happening in your first and seventh houses, there is some kind of like powerful identity shift that's coming your way. Okay. Okay, Jessica, I hope this answers your question, and do definitely rewatch it because there was a lot of other things that I've been saying. Okay, Monica, you were saying, are you still here? You're saying, okay, mine is just about what astrological chart aspects would be most compatible for me when dating people in the future. Tired of kissing frogs, and I want the real deal now. Okay. Julia is asking how much are the donations? They're suggested donations, just like pay. Actually, I feel like if it was a suggested donation, I should probably suggest a donation. I don't know. People donate, different amounts like 10, 15, 20, 35, however much you can afford. It's like up to you. The goal is to make the readings accessible. If you ever feel like you want a one-on-one consultation, you can find me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Okay. Monica. And if somebody is here who sent a donation and I haven't gotten to you, like last week, maybe you were left waiting because I had a flood in my building. Fingers crossed, we don't get one now. You can also say hi and pop up into the messages, into the chat. Okay, Monica. Let me see. Monica, could you remind me your information? I know I've pulled your chart like twice at this point, but I have not saved it. If you want, you can also email it to me. Julia, you're welcome. You said thank you. I'm not sure what for, but you're welcome. And you're welcome, Jess. I'm glad this was helpful. Okay, April 30, 80. Happy almost birthday. How exciting. What are you doing for your birthday, Monica? Okay, I'm putting your information in. There are a lot of Brownsvilles in the US. A lot of Browns have moved to the States and named their towns after themselves. Okay. I like your question too. I always like questions about relationships. So far working on your birthday. Okay. Okay, sharing. So, Monica, please confirm that once again, Taurus Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising. What astrological chart aspects would be most compatible for me when dating people in the future? Hi, Allison. Good to see you. You've been watching all of these. I appreciate that. Okay, Monica says looks good. Okay, let's look at this. So, your seventh house of relationships is Taurus. We may have spoken about it in the past lives, but probably not a ton. Allison, I'm happy that you're happy to come to each one. So while you are a Scorpio rising, you are someone in a Scorpio moon, you're someone who is familiar with discomfort, disturbance, ups and downs, death and rebirth, right? Like Scorpio is the sign that is most comfortable and most aware that things must fall apart in order for them to come together. Things must disappear, die, entropy, all of that kind of stuff. I hope I'm using the word entropy correctly. Anyways, never mind. Sometimes my Gemini moon just sort of picks up words, and then later I'm like, is this a correct way to use it? Usually it is correct, but sometimes it's like confusing. Monica says, I feel like I really get along with Scorpio sun. Males, other signs are hit and miss for me, but for some reason, Scorpios always get along with me, November Scorpios especially. Yes, that is personally, one of my most favorite aspects. If their sun is your moon. So your moon is in Scorpio, which means Scorpio suns they will see your feelings. They will know, like, if you are for some reason distraught, they will look at you and they will be able to tell that you are stressed or something else is going on. So Scorpio males for sure, if they were Scorpio sun, Taurus moon, Taurus rising, like a flipped version of your big three, that is like absolute perfection. But the world, you're not going to go along just saying no to people because they're not that perfect. But I do like Scorpio sun males. You're saying yes, 100%. That totally happens. Yeah, like I'm a Gemini moon and my boyfriend is Gemini sun, and he like I feel like he like reads me, he like scans my feelings, which is a very, very sort of comfortable position to have, or like comfortable sort of relationship thing. I also really like when they have their moon or some other like Venus or even maybe their sun in your fourth house, because fourth house is like comfort, security, childhood. It's a bit tricky with your chart because they will square your sun and moon axis. So Aquarius placements might feel a little bit too cold for you. You're saying that would be awesome to come across a Scorpio sun, Taurus moon, and rising. Allison is a Scorpio sun and married a Taurus sun. Yeah, opposite signs are often very similar and different enough to make things interesting. Okay, so I do like their moon in your fourth house, but I would be a little bit maybe hesitant just because they will square your sort of your moon and sun axis. I also wonder, so another way to think about this is your seventh house also has the sun in it, and the sun is very much connected to Leo. So, and your north node is in Leo, which means you're like learning to be more like a lioness. You are, sort of more bright and shiny and visible and in the spotlight. So Leos can be at the very least very much like guides and teachers of that ability to be in the spotlight. People with like your Venus is in Gemini, so if they have a Gemini moon, I love your Venus. Like my moon is right next to your Venus, so we could be really good friends probably. But like, if you're dating someone with like a Gemini moon, maybe they're a Scorpio sun, Gemini moon, that could be lovely because your Venus and their moon will get along beautifully. You're saying, yes, I've been getting along with Leos lately too, but more on a friendly level. For sure. Yeah, let me think. I feel like someone with the Gemini Venus as well, or someone with like a Gemini Mars. Gemini Mars, Leo Venus. But the first probably would be Scorpio sun, I think. Then maybe Gemini moon or Taurus moon. A lot of times if you are a woman and let's say you're dating someone, you're a Taurus sun, they're a Taurus moon, and it's not like their moon. I mean, it's still comfortable, it's still familiar, but I think if it's like you are the sun and they are the moon, then you are the one who's reading their emotions, and sometimes they might not reciprocate it unless they are a Scorpio sun. So, okay, Scorpio suns, which you already said you get along with. Gemini moons, potentially maybe Aquarius placements, like I said, but those are a little bit tricky. And maybe Leo planets. Virgo for you looks like very much like friends. So Virgos are more friendly energy. Libra would fall into your 12th house, so I wouldn't necessarily go for Libra placements. Yeah, I think those are the primary ones. Okay, you're saying that's awesome. That's good. Okay, good to know. Nams is saying sorry for being a little annoying in the chat. No worries. You're not annoying. We're friends here. We all love each other. If you're like, we are trying to create an atmosphere of acceptance and love over here. So you're saying the apps and stuff you mentioned are not available in my country. So I guess I won't get a reading. Love your monthly readings though. I can always, if you can't, if there is no way to send a payment, I can always look at your chart maybe another time when I have gotten through the people that I have on my list. So if you want to email me too, I can see if I can, put you on my list for the next time. Monica, I hope this answers your question. Let me also update my list. I wonder if Mikael is here, or Mark, or N, Diana, Ara, Carolina, Laris, people who are on my list. Do say hi. For now, I'm just gonna mark Jess and Monica as we have looked. And also Sherida. Sherida, I just got a payment from you as well. So if you are here, do let me know. Allison says, I use Revolut app in Australia to pay people in the US. Okay. I didn't know that's a thing. And Jay, if you are still here and you wanted to send a donation, we can also look at your chart, I guess. Although, sorry, I'm like a little bit I'm a little bit confused about who to look at next. I know I have people on the list, but they're not here potentially. So okay, Monica, yes, it does give me more to look for that I haven't thought about. It was really helpful. Okay, I'm glad. I'm happy it was helpful. I might look at Mikael's question next because they haven't, I think he sent me a question earlier, or like Mark potentially. I don't know if he's able to attend, but I might do his reading just because he sent me a donation a while back, I think. You guys are you guys are awesome. You're like, oh, I can jump in. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess people sometimes send donations, but they can't really show up, or they get busy. Jay is asking, is there a base price? Oh, Sherida. Yay. Okay. There is no, this is sort of, like pay what you feel comfortable, but I don't know, people donate $10, $15, who can only $5. It depends on like what you are familiar, what's like working for you. Just sometimes, it's like, I would say it's like anywhere from 5 to 30 maybe on average. But really is very much like what is comfortable for you. Sherida. Okay. Sherida, what is your question? And let me see. I have pulled up your chart. So Sherida, I do have your information. I think it's in here. Is it March 4th, 89? Or is it April 3rd? I would assume it's March 4th, 89. March 4th. Do you guys have any exciting travel plans for the next few months? I am trying to figure out if I'm able to go anywhere, but so far I'm waiting a little bit for the last moment, and that's not a good idea price-wise. Okay, Sheridan. Jay is asking, was I supposed to enter my birthday information? You can email me your birthday information at anastasia.does.astrology@gmail.com. Sherida, I also don't have your birth time. March 4th, 89. Juliet is asking, can I donate for your next live birth chart reading, or you're still accepting people right now? You can donate now, and if people do not show up, if people do not show up in the immediate environment, I'll just sorry, in the immediate time, I'll just start taking people who have sent donations and are here. So you can definitely do it. And if you don't mind being on my list for next time, that always works. Jay, thank you. What did you send it through? Was it PayPal? Because I have like 3 options and sometimes they don't. Oh, I see it. Okay, PayPal. Yes, send me your information via email. That's probably the best. Okay, Sherida, back to you. And sorry if I'm jumping around. Sometimes it's like too much going on. It's fun. I think my Gemini moon really likes it, and I like interacting with you guys, and I like that. Honestly, I think like YouTube people tend to be really friendly and very curious in astrology, and you guys are a pleasure to interact with. But doing it all on my own does get sometimes a little bit like over here, over there, over here, over there. So thank you for being patient. Okay, Sheridan. Your question, let me see. General advice, career, space. Okay. Let's look at your career. Juliet is asking about the payment. There in the description of the live, there should be links with a few options to send the payment. And Jay, I assume you're sending me your information via email, right? I should be able to access it pretty fast. Or you can also put it in the chat. That also works. Sherida, is this information correct for you? Pisces Sun, Aquarius Moon, Leo Rising. And thank you, Jay, for sending the information. I see it. Ooh, 87. I know that you have Mars and Scorpio because you are a Capricorn from 87, Jay. Okay, Sherida says yes. Okay, so career question. Look at your beautiful Venus in Pisces. I like this Venus in Pisces. Does suggest really beneficial relationships with other people, sort of really positive connections with other people, especially with your North Node. You're kind of learning to tap into this energy of working with other people and trusting them. But career, so there are a few things in a chart that indicate career, right? We always look at the midheaven, which is the angle of highest point in the sky where the sun culminates. So ascendant is the eastern horizon where the sun rises. Descendant is the western horizon where the sun sets. By the way, good moment to tell you guys that I am teaching an astrology course beginning in September. So if you want to learn the basics of astrology, if you want to learn to speak the language, so you don't need an astrologer to tell you when things are coming, so you can be the magician yourself, sign up on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and join me and other people. Create your community of people interested in astrology. So ascendant, descendant, like I said, eastern horizon, western horizon. Midheaven is the highest point the sun reaches before it starts setting. So midheaven is always important astrologically because as it is for the sun, the highest point of visibility, so it is for an individual having, like, your midheaven represents your professional success a lot of times, or it represents what you're striving towards. Planets in Transit by Robert Hand is a great book to have. For sure. I have it. I think it's like one of the first books, astrological books I've gotten. So with your midheaven being in Aries, to me that reads as a career that allows independence, career that potentially has some kind of active element to it, teaching, being in front of people, being a leader. Having midheaven, the angle of career in the 9th house, impacts it a lot as well, in a sense that 9th house is the place of journeying. It's the place of travel and learning and wearing a lot of different hats. So, on some level, you're not necessarily meant to have one career. Your professional success is a lot more about trying different things. Could it be that you find a job that you're happy in and you're staying in it for a long time? Absolutely. But there is kind of a suggestion with the midheaven in the ninth house that it's, again, it's sort of more about people you meet through your work, relationships you form, connections you make. So, on many levels, it could be like many careers through your lifetime. People find often, this could be like education, being a teacher, working in education, career that has an element of travel, dealing with foreign people. So, like being a diplomat, being an interpreter, being a teacher. The ruler is Mars and Taurus. The ruler is in a bit more complicated position. So Mars in Taurus is considered in its detriment, mainly because Mars is a planet of action and fighting and cutting and severing and independence. And Taurus is the opposite of that. Taurus is a Venusian sign. Taurus wants to connect, to join. Taurus doesn't like fighting. So sometimes when you have Mars and Taurus, you may sometimes struggle asserting yourself. It may take you longer to get going because Mars rules your house of career. It may also suggest that the people you meet at work, like bosses you have this like passive aggressive, a little bit difficult energy to them where maybe they don't know how to express anger and frustration. The ruler of your Mars is this beautiful, healthy Venus that is in a mutual reception with your Jupiter. So I feel like you do have the power to like overcome the difficulties you face, but I think, maybe an element of like needing to sort of take your time and maybe also needing a job that you're not getting rushed or micromanaged and you're able to kind of do things at your own pace. With Mars and Taurus, I'm actually thinking of like something that maybe involves like food industry or uh, finance, working in finance, right? Like managing other people's resources for sure. Um, you're saying I've been trying different things my whole life. LOL. Yeah, what do you do? What do you do now? This could be a really good career for someone who's like a fitness trainer, but maybe again it has to be like your Mars and Taurus, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's yin, maybe it's slow and things like that. Let me see if I can give you any other potential tips in terms of the ruler. And another, yeah, like the ruler of the 10th house. So the ruler of the ninth is Mars, but then the ruler of Mars is Venus. And so there is this really close connection between working with other people and in the 8th house with your sun and Venus here, like working with other people's, almost like working with other people's trauma or their wounds or their money, right? This could be a sign of like a financial advisor or someone who has a restaurant or someone who has a funeral home. So you help people like deal with loss and stuff. You have a cleaning business. Okay, that checks out, I think, because there is an energy of having a business, and Taurus is maybe like, slow and steady wins the race. And so are you not super happy with this choice because you're asking a question about career? I'm also thinking about, so yeah, like finance, wealth, business, um, even working in like the field of media entertainment or working with like astrology, things like that. But I like the fact that you have a business that also deals with like cleaning, because to me this reads as like you're going into people's homes or your employees are going into people's homes, and this is connected to like resources of other people. Because with this placement, with this chart, you can also be a therapist cleaning people's psyche, but then with your cleaning business, you're cleaning people's homes. So you're like coming in and also seeing things that are very private, right? You're sort of getting access to the private parts of people's lives. You're saying I'm burnt out. Yeah, what's interesting is Saturn is coming into your ninth house. in a little bit, and well, in a month, less than a month, on May 24th, and we'll be here until September 1st. And then it will leave temporarily, and then we'll come back in February 2026 for 2 years. So Saturn going into the house of education might be a sign that you're going back to school, that you're maybe changing directions and you're going on this path that will take as long as Saturn is in Aries, so about 2.5 years. Have you considered going back to school at all? Also, if anyone who's watching have sent me a donation in the past, and I haven't gotten to you, please speak up so I can check you off my list and do your reading. Jay will be the next person I'm going to look at. And if one of you who's watching wants to jump on my list, because people seem to not be showing up who have already sent donations, you can definitely do a donation and jump on my list after Jay. So Sherida, let me know if you're thinking of education, of going back to school and maybe updating your life by sort of studying something. You want to learn how to day trade but have reservations. That could be, I mentioned finance, right? So working in finance with your North Node in the 8th house, you are on many levels actually encouraged to tap into your, like, to sort of work on your intuition, I think, because you're born with South Node in Virgo, and your South Node suggests that you have, it's so interesting, and Virgo is all about service and organization and cleaning, right? It's a stereotype, like plenty of Virgos are not into cleaning, but like Virgo likes to organize things, likes to help things tidy in their head, in their body, in their home. It depends, right? Virgo is a mutable sign, so it's going to have a side to it that's very clean and organized, and side to it that's like a complete mess, Monica closet that has all of the stuff in it. But with your South Node, cleaning business makes so much sense, because it's like South Node in the house of money. You know how to make ends meet. You're tidy, you're organized, you're perfectionist, and it's ruled by your Mercury in Aquarius. So again, sort of very practical, grounded, rational mind. And then with your North Node, though, it's kind of urging you to go into this realm of mysteries and things that are connected to other people and other people's money, and maybe things that don't feel as certain, where you can work with other people or rely on other people, and you can also work on developing trust. Because with Virgo as a South Node, there may be like a lot of anxiety, a lot of like a need to have control over everything. And this is also your nodal return, which happens once every 19 years. So with it being your nodal return, this energy of like trust and taking risks and going into this house of like debts, loans, mortgages, financial trades, it's very much highlighted for you. So I think that's a good choice. And I think with Saturn going in the 9th house, you may kind of be beginning that new trajectory of learning how to day trade. Just make sure you're getting a lot of sort of knowledge and you're taking it one step at a time. Sherida, I hope that answers your question. I am going to look at Jade next. So let me pull up your information. And Jay, if you haven't written, even if you have, could you write your question for me as well? I might also do a reading for someone who sent a question but is not here, because I think the time difference is not allowing them to be here. But I might do that person's reading as well. Okay, Jay, just putting your information. Allison, Allison sent a donation on PayPal. Thank you, Allison. Nams is saying it's 3 a.m. here. In India, yeah. Are you always up at 3 a.m.? And you're welcome, Sherida. I'm glad this was helpful. Allison, also, if you could email me your birthday information, that would be great. This way I can pull it up without having to go too far. What time is it in Australia now, Allison? Jay, what should I look out for the next few years and what my strength and weaknesses and anything special? 7:45 a.m. in Australia. Are you still in bed? Or are you an early riser and you're doing a bunch of other things? So Jay, I think I might start with your strengths and weaknesses because that is really fun. Okay. Just to double check, Capricorn Sun, Gemini Moon, Virgo Rising. Is this correct? Is this the chart you are used to seeing for yourself? Okay. Mystic Road is asking if I donate, will I be read? Yeah, I think I can probably do that. And like NAMZ, if you want to send me your information and your question via email, I'll see if I can get to you today as well. So the email is Anastasia astrology at gmail.com, because you stayed up until 3 a.m. I feel like I want to, and like sadly the payment options are not available to you. I can see if I can check out your chart too, because people that have sent donations last week do not seem to be showing up right now. So they're always on the list. They're not going to leave my list, but we'll see. Okay, Jay. So the chart looks correct. Let's see. So strengths. The first thing that jumps to mind is your Mars in Scorpio. Mars is in rulership in Scorpio. It's a very strong position. It's a very much like a ninja archetype placement where you have a very sort of persevering, stoic, solid, uncompromising nature to you. Like if you have decided on something, nothing can push you off your sort of path. It's very much like set your mind on something, commit it, achieved it. And because like I'm calling it a ninja archetype, it might be you achieving it in the darkness where nobody knows. Like people just hear about this idea, but you've already accomplished it. You have Jupiter in the 8th house is also quite nice, I think, because it's ruled by this Mars, and it might suggest that you're that you can benefit a lot through other people, through working with other people, connecting with other people, even sometimes through like death of other people. That's a little bit gruesome, but I've seen this placement be somebody starts working for an astrologer and then they pass away and they leave you a book of their clients. And so you end up sort of in this beneficial position. Challenges. Well, okay. So your chart ruler is Mercury, which is combust. It's very close to the sun, means it's responding to what the sun wants. And you also have Neptune conjunct the sun, which may sometimes feel like it's an interesting placement because it could be a very creative placement. I see this as, a writer, a dreamer, maybe a writer of like a financial blog, right? Because it's Capricorn, so we can't go too far away from Capricornian themes. But sometimes Neptune next to the sun can sort of create this like a little bit of a confusing, dreamy nature where you don't always truly understand yourself or what you seek. Could be, again, a really, really good placement for an artist or a creative person, especially with that with that North Node in Pisces. And another indicator of like maybe challenges that come with, so Mercury is combust, meaning it's too close to the sun. And sometimes it could sort of indicate that you're a very much deep thinker, but because the planet is overpowered by the sun, it may create like sort of a little bit of a communication challenge sometimes, or like it may be a bit harder to express your true thoughts. Okay, you're saying pretty accurate. Good to know. And with Chiron and Gemini, that's another sign of potentially doubting your own intellect and your own knowledge. And here it's in the house of career. So there might be sometimes a sense that other people get ahead in front of you, or professionally, there may be some kind of wounding. So if you ever feel like, career matters feel a little bit difficult, I think the answer here is to tap into vulnerability and things that you feel maybe like, Chiron in the 10th house could be a sign of somebody who like helps other people find their professional purpose. If you are, if you're really good at giving advice to people professionally and you see them flourish and find a lot of success, but you feel like you cannot find as much success as you would like, then maybe you're meant to be that light for other people and help others find sort of professional success. But maybe, maybe you're good professionally. Maybe I'm just like, it is just me seeing the things. You're saying I'm studying to be a data scientist analyst. Okay. That's, I think, makes sense with Capricorn. Do you ever feel like this Gemini Mercury, maybe feeling like professionally you're not where you want to be, or that other people are more successful? Is this ever like a point of sort of uncertainty or difficulty in your life? The good news, Jupiter is here. Mike. Hi, Mike. We did your reading last time, I think, right? Yeah, Jay, let me know if like you ever feel like this like Chiron topics do come up. In terms of what's coming up, okay, Jay is saying, yeah, but I'm recovering from an eye disability, so I'm exceeding quickly. Okay. When was your you're recovering? Like, was it you had an injury pretty recently? What happened? Or were you born with some kind of eye situation? Allison is making friends because she's here a lot, and Mike was here last time. Yeah, Mike, if you'd like a personal reading, you can definitely find it at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I am there. Okay, so Jay, in terms of things coming up for you, you're saying born with misalignment in the eye, got prism glasses a year ago. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if it's part of your, so, having Mars and Scorpio also sometimes a sign of having to overcome challenges. So it's like you're born with it, but it's also beaten into shape through experiences you go through in life. And then perhaps the fact that the chart ruler is conjunct the sun, right? The sun tends to overpower the planet it's next to. So you being born with like the eye being representative of like seeing, and I think the sun sort of maybe affecting it a little bit could play a part. If you ever want to figure out like remediation techniques to help with health or to help with making the best of your chart, you can book a reading and we'll talk about that. I also have planetary magic candles and oils, and Mercury could be a really good choice for you. Like Mercury in Virgo could be very good for remediating some of that because it falls in your first house of identity. You have a birthmark in your left eye too. Okay. Okay, so in terms of the next few years, things that are coming up, you are going through your nodal return because North Node is currently in Pisces and South Node is currently in Virgo. That will last until July 2026. This is This brings a lot of focus on relationships and partnerships and working with others, as well as trust, topics around trust, topics around dreams, topics around relationships, commitments. So it can sort of bring important developments in terms of commitment, meeting the right person, getting married, starting a business, things like that. And let me know if things have already been happening for you. With South Node in your first, focused on health, absolutely having to let go of self-criticism, perfectionism, workaholic tendencies, and even what you said, you're studying to be a data scientist analyst. So you're like going into a new direction, you're exploring new passions, you're working on like new sort of paths. And I do like data scientists for you because I think, again, with this Jupiter in the 8th house working with other people's resources, other people's data could be really good. Allison says lots of Texas born people being read today. Really? Have I had a few Texas people? I'm like forget sometimes. Okay, so that is important. Personal identity transformations, focusing on the health, taking care of yourself through maybe more spiritual means, learning to trust, developments in relationships for sure. Jay, have you noticed any relationship developments already? Your health will continue to be a point of focus for the next few years, I think, with the North Node next year shifting into Aquarius and Pluto being in Aquarius. It's very much a point that you kind of have to be conscious of and aware and like involved in. And I wonder if there are like spiritual things like remediation, like astrology, tarot, anything, yoga, things that can be really helpful to you. Jupiter is going into Cancer on June 9th for a year, and this is beneficial for friendships, networks, connections. It could suggest that if you were to start a YouTube channel, this would be a really beneficial time. But you can also be meeting new people, expanding your network, feeling very supported, which is really exciting. And let's see. We talked about, well, and even Uranus going into your 10th house of career this year between July 7th and November 7th is also, I think, a sign of professional revolution and major developments there and like opportunities to be more independent and more self-reliant or even do something for a living that is Uranian, right? Data science. Uranus is like brilliant and inventive and innovative. So I think that checks out as well. Jay says yes for relationship and started intermittent fasting Monday and Friday. Yeah, numerology, Sufism, Gnostic, Kabbalah. That's, yeah, all of that checks out. And also take a look back at 2006, 2007, which is the first time you had your nodal return, to see what was happening at that time. Okay, Jay, I hope this was helpful. I can jump on to Allison next, potentially. Allison, I think you sent me your information. Juliet, I see you. I think that's going to be it for today. So people who have already sent, we're going to go through them. But if you are just joining in, I will do another live next week. So we can always do it next time. Allison is like, I'm here. I do indeed. Okay, I'm just checking my email. Mike is saying New York City here. Jay, you're welcome. Mike is asking, what do I think about human design readings? So I don't know a ton about it. I've kind of looked at my own because I think it's fun to look at your own like numerology and human design and things like that. But I do not know a lot about it. So I feel like I can't really comment on whether I think they're like accurate or not accurate. I think they're based on astrology, right? Or at least part based on astrology. Okay, Allison. Allison, have I ever done your readings anywhere on like Instagram or maybe I just feel like I know you because you've been watching my lives, which I'm really thankful for. November 4. Oh, you are from Texas too, but you're currently in Australia. That's why you're saying a lot of people from Texas. There might be something about the time as well, because maybe when I'm doing these lives, it's a good time for Texans to tune in. Did I misspell your town name? Yes, I did. There's 2 L's. And if you haven't sent me your question, please do let me know your question as well. You're like, yep, yeehaw. Jay says astrology looks so deep to learn about. I have been told that I am really good at explaining things in an understandable way. So if you want to understand yourself and sort of learn it from a digestible perspective that can then help you go deeper, join my course. Begins in September. Okay, Allison, I haven't done your reading. Let me know your question. So if you have sent a donation more recently, I will try to get to you, but I may have to sort of put you on my list and do your reading next time. But let's see how it goes in terms of time, just because I want to make sure I give you myself with a fresh mind and I don't want to like push it too much. Okay. Allison. Mike is saying I definitely need to get a reading. Yeah, it could be a good, it could be a good introduction. Course is a big commitment, but I think starting with a reading is a good idea. Allison, is this correct for you? Scorpio sun, Sagittarius moon, Aries rising, which makes a lot of sense with you being in Australia with that Sagittarius moon, Uranus, and Saturn. Okay. I want to learn more about my new career because I'm starting a business when I move to Perth. I just don't know what it will look like. I love working with kids. I used to be in the education department as a behavior analyst. So you're starting a business, but you're not sure what the business will be like yet. But do you see it connected to kids and education? Okay, the chart looks good. Let me also, just out of curiosity, I'm going to check your chart for Perth, Australia, just to see if it's telling us anything out of the ordinary. Have you looked, Allison? Have you ever checked your relocation chart? Okay, you're saying, yes, I think working on energetics, like going to kinesiology school. What is a kinesiology school? Okay, back to your chart. Let's see. So your midheaven is in Capricorn. It conjoins Neptune. Neptune does read as altruism, spirituality, helping, giving, some kind of like nurturing, but also like sensitive, compassionate energy when it comes to your career. But of course, it's Capricorn, so it's not necessarily going to want to just give without having returns from it and having a, sort of income and career and sort of earnings from it. Your midheaven also sextiles, makes an aspect to your Jupiter, and it's of course making an aspect to your Scorpio stellium in the 8th house. This is like a powerhouse to have so many planets in the 8th house. I think you being the person who is like somehow involved in, well, it definitely reads as like helping people, right? You're saying, I have seen my astrocartography chart and my Venus line is on Perth. And Mike says kinesiology is the scientific study of human body movement. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, I think. So the ruler of your midheaven is Saturn. It's in the house of education, travel. It also suggests that your career flourishes and blooms when you are away from home, right? It's like the ruler of the house of career is 12 houses away. So it's like a career in a foreign place, far away place that involves education, that involves guiding people. Your moon is in the house of education conjunct Uranus, which is interesting because to me this reads as like early childhood or a mother that was not the most stable person. Maybe you just had to move a lot. Maybe your mom was someone who like, maybe it wasn't just, it doesn't have to be your mom, but it looks like childhood that was full of like travel and moving. When you're born with the moon in the ninth house, like you are very international, right? Like I cannot see this and like imagine that you stayed in one place for a very long time as a kid. So I wonder if there is like some of your early experiences that also influence your professional choices a lot. You're saying, yep, that makes sense. We took a lot of vacations. What did your mom do for work? And what did your dad do as well? Because the sun represents the father, and your dad looks like either someone who worked in some kind of unpredictable environment, or was a therapist, or was a healer. There's also like Pluto and Venus and Mercury. So it's like a very kind of interesting energy for both of your parents. So yeah, I think like career that is innovative, education where you get to bring some kind of unique spin on things, but also helpful, altruistic. Sometimes Neptune conjunct midheaven is also seen in the charts of like actors, producers, things like that. Your mom was an occupational therapist working with kids with disabilities, and my dad was a geologist who traveled overseas for work. Okay. So both of your parents were like very didn't stand still. Yeah, it's kind of cool that your mom was working with kids with disabilities and you're saying that you are thinking of working with kids and using kinesiology. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, this is your chart for Perth, Australia. And this is so fascinating, right? It puts your ascendant into Scorpio. So I think Perth is this place where you very much get in touch with your Scorpio intuition, with your spider senses, with your sun on the ascendant. This is the place where you get to shine and be visible, but like shine in a Scorpio rising way, right? Sort of in a way where you like help people. And again, it highlights your eighth house of transformation and other people's resources and sort of fighting battles of other people and working with other people, helping other people. So all of that makes a lot of sense. With Saturn in the second house of money, there may be a little bit of a delay financially, but the ruler is very strong, and the ruler is Jupiter in the fifth house of children. So money house connected to children, creativity, even like romance, pleasure, following your passions professionally, really great for that. Can be a little bit maybe unstable when it comes to your living situation with Mars in the fourth house, maybe some neighbors that are irritating, but could be really good for like creating transformations in other people. Allison says, dang, that's awesome. Do you have any follow-up questions? I hope this answers it. Like, and even again, like Saturn in the second might suggest that the money is coming in, but a little bit slower. And Uranus and the moon sort of brings this like work that has a nurturing / innovative aspect. And the ruler of the 10th house of career in Perth is the sun in Scorpio in the first house of identity. So it's like about you being you and using the experience you have from like living your life to produce change in other people. Namrata, I don't know if I'll be able to get to you. I'm sorry, but I had some people who sent donations. So I have at least I mean, let me see. What is your question? Is it something that we can do relatively fast? I could potentially do it just because you've been here for such a long time, and I wanna help you out. Um, okay, so was your question, I have a very important exam for which I've been studying hard since few years, and we can choose our dates for that exam. It's between 25th to 30th May. Can you tell me which date should I choose for it to be the best day for me? Okay, awesome. Yeah, let's take a look. That shouldn't be too long or complicated. So I can take a look. And thank you for being patient, and thank you for loving my videos. Send my channel to your friends. Tell them to follow me. And maybe once you pass your exam and you become a very successful, I don't know what you're studying for, you can also come back and get a reading with me one day. Okay, the place you were born. Let me see. This sounds very. What a place. It is spelled as Lucknow. Luck now. Lucknow. The person is born in the city that's called Lucknow. I feel like that's a very beneficial, that's like a very good sign to be born in a city that's called Lucknow. Okay. Let's take a look. Allison says, we have no idea where we're going to be living. We're just moving, and my Aries rising headbutting. What is happening to my YouTube? I can't. Sorry, just a sec. Okay. We're just moving, and it's my Aries rising headbutting my way through life. Yeah, the home and living situation could be a little bit, like touch and go there, something that will take some time to figure out, but it does seem in other aspects it could be a pretty good place for you, I think. And you're welcome, Allison. Thank you for always being here and watching. Okay. So Namrata, does this look correct? What is this? Aquarius sun, Scorpio moon, Leo rising. And so your question was again, so between 25th to 30th of May, which day would be best? Let's see. This is a relatively straightforward question. You are looking at education. You are looking at taking an exam May 25th into May 30th. So your house of education is, I thought I shared the screen, but no. Okay, so now you should be seeing it. So here we go. So the house of education exams is Libra, ruled by Venus. Natal Venus is in Capricorn. The house of higher. What kind of college admission? Okay, so this would be. Oh, this is so interesting. Okay, so ninth house is connected to higher education, and I would look at the ninth house for sort of college, university. What's interesting is on the 24th of May, Saturn goes into your ninth house of education, beginning almost a 3-year long period of it staying in your house of education. So it suggests that there is like an important development. And I think, if anything, it does look like you're beginning education. Saturn can sometimes throw a little bit of like roadblocks or make things a little bit complicated. Like it can throw some delays in your path. So let's just move this. So May 25th, the moon is in Taurus. Love the moon in Taurus. It's an exalted moon. So in general, that is quite lovely, I think. May 26th is pretty good. So May 25th, 26th both look nice. Then there is also a potential of May 29th. So between those dates that you gave me, I would say it's 25th, 26th, and 29th, because the moon, I think, even is this is for India. So are you taking the exam in India? Are you taking it in Lucknow or a different location? Okay, you are. So I think this looks like the location is correct because it is in India. So, okay, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna say so it's still good for May 25th. May 26th are good. May 27th is fine, but May 28th is could also be great because Moon is conjoining Jupiter. Honestly, those are all pretty good. There is not like a really bad date there that I would say you should avoid. Where's your Mars? Your Mars is in the 5th house in Sagittarius. The Moon. Maybe May 25th, 26th are going to be my priorities, but then the 28th is pretty good. Yeah, because the Moon conjoins Jupiter on the 28th, and it's going to be aspecting your natal north node. So 25th, 26th, and 28th will be the answer. Okay, I hope this helps. Let me see. I have Julie. Julie, are you still here? If you are, thank you for being patient. You're welcome, Namrata. Tell your friends about me, send me good energy, and good luck with your exam. Okay, Julie. And also if people who are still watching, okay, Julie sending question now. Julia. Namrata says we'll become a rich engineer and buy your paid stuff. Maybe one day. I like I like the place you were born in. I think Lucknow is a very good city to be in. Julie, do you speak Russian? Because I do too. Привет, Юля, if you speak Russian. Okay, let me pull up your chart. Julia, Juliet. And I wonder, are you still in Russia or have you moved? Oh, you said current location is not there anymore. And how old were you when you moved? I misspelled St. Petersburg. That's not good. Petersburg. Why don't they like how I spell St. Petersburg? Apparently, I'm supposed to spell it with St. Petersburg instead of Saint as a full word. Julia, can you narrow it down for me a little bit in terms of your question? Because you mentioned love and friends and family and home and career. Could you prioritize one? Because that might be too many things to look at the same time. And like, if you'd like a reading, like a full-sized reading, this might be a better idea to kind of look at the transits for everything. These readings are smaller, so just ideally one area of focus, two max. Okay. Yulia does speak Russian. Привет. General question, looking for guidance or anything you see that I should know. You moved to Brooklyn when you were almost 4. Okay. Digital Dharma, I am currently, the list is closed. I am getting ready to wrap up soon. So I'm going to do this again. And Yulia, I see your question now. You're saying for guidance or anything you see that I should know. Okay. It's just in the question that you sent me, I thought there was like a lot of things. Okay. Whatever I see that you should know regarding love or career? Okay, love or career. So is this correct? Gemini, Sun, Cancer, Moon, Leo, Rising. It is correct. Okay. Also, I saw a payment from Medfi Ritz. Are you here? If you are, you could be potentially my last person I take a look at today before we wrap up. Okay. Love or career? So, career, midheaven in Aries, ruled by Mars in Pisces. So, with your love seems a little bit like, let's say love sort of jumps at me, I think, a little bit stronger. I think in general you are, love and relationships is a big topic in your life because of North Node in the 7th house. North Node also often suggests delays. It's a sign that this sector is really important for you, but North Node is the new energy for us. You're born with South Node in Leo in your house of identity. You know who you are on many levels. You're probably used to being on your own, and maybe also have like a strong solar bright personality. Maybe it's because you like moved and you had to discover yourself. There's this like very sort of strong energy of like identity. You're saying opening a handmade jewelry business. And so relationships and business, because 7th house is also the house of like business and partnerships with other people, like contractual agreements when they pay you and you do a service for them. Both of that will be very highlighted next year, because in February, we're going to have the first solar eclipse in Aries, and then in July, your nodal return is going to begin. And so that is a sign of like major focus on business and relationships, romantic relationships and business relationships. And this could be the year in which you are maybe preparing, right? Because right now, South Node is in Virgo and North Node is in Pisces. So it's highlighting your house of finances, and it's highlighting your house of debts, loans, taxes, mortgage, or any kind of payments. Like it might be the time for you with Saturn and your North Node, and sort of not your, but North Node being here. It could be the time for you to like clear your finances and get really organized in terms of finances, and then maybe even consider starting a business and like think of who you're partnering up with. You're saying, I thought my North Node was in the 6th. I work in whole sign house system. So in whole sign, all of your ascendant sign is your first house. You're probably looking at your chart in Placidus, and Placidus breaks the houses unequally. So it's just a different house system. The way I look at charts, it's going to be in the 7th house. Okay, yeah, so 2026, starting in February, with that eclipse, brings a lot of attention to relationships, partnerships, and business. And it could be a start of something important, like personally. It could be the time when you're meeting someone and a new relationship is starting in your life. It doesn't have to be exactly in February, but like around that time, 3 weeks before, 3 weeks after, approximately. And then in July, when the nodes shift and your nodal return begins, that's a year and a half worth of your karmic energy repeating. And again, with your South Node in Leo, you do have a strong sense of self, but sometimes you may get lost in being a certain way or sort of playing a role that other people expect of you, like being the life of the party and, being always charming and always like playful and worrying about people liking you. And so the energy of your nodal return will be a lot more about going in the direction of your independence and your unique sort of energy. and like tapping into your true self on many levels. And so it can show up in relationships in terms of dating people that may be unorthodox and different and other people don't necessarily approve of, but it could be an important relationship period, I think. With business too, with Saturn about to go into your ninth house, you're saying opening a handmade jewelry business. I like that. I like that because your midheaven is conjunct Venus, and Venus is always about um, beauty and kind of creativity. And Aries is the sign of independence, and it's the sign of like, working for yourself or being kind of courageous and brave and taking action. And even the ruler of your midheaven being Mars and Pisces, that's another sort of planet that is very spiritual and creative and compassionate. And like the business for you seems to be connected to sort of working in solitude on beautiful things, I think. Healing-based business, Reiki. Wait, but you said handmade jewelry business. Is it both? Hi, Ara. You are on my list. You're still on my list. I can do your reading next, potentially. I also see that Mystic Road sent me a payment. Did you send me a payment? What is your name, Mystic Road? Mystic Road. But the list is closed for now. So just are you Met Fee, Mystic Road? Yulia is saying that's exactly what I'm doing. Are you doing Reiki? Or are you... Sorry, I got confused. Sometimes it's like, I don't know what you're working in solitude on beautiful creations and infusing them with Reiki. Yes. Yeah, perfect. Saturn is going to go into your ninth house on May 24th, which also feels significant and maybe a little bit... It may create a little bit of like urgency to make things official, to make things, organized and create sort of structure and like a website or something. But Saturn can bring a little bit of delays. And I really like the fact that you're going to have your Jupiter return in June, starting June 9th, and then all the way until June 30th, 2026. Jupiter will be conjoining your moon. So again, sort of solitude, Reiki, spirituality, blessings through like your spiritual knowledge. Jupiter Chiron is a really beautiful combination in a way that like Jupiter will be your saving grace and your guardian angel when things are difficult. And so makes me wonder, right? Like infusing your energy, your sort of like healing, compassionate energy into your creations. So that's great. Mary is asking, is this the last reading for today? No, but I have 2 more people and then I am done. Yulia is saying getting kind of lonely though. So I wonder if you can tap into this North Node and Aquarius energy and maybe join some groups with your sun in the 11th too, ruling your chart. Just sort of connect with people who are like-minded. Go volunteering. And yeah, love is on the horizon. The period when North Node goes into your 7th house next year, that eclipse in February, it's like something that happens every 19 years. Were you dating anyone in 2007, 2008? Even first half of 2009, let's say 2008, like first half of 2009, when you would have been like 18, 19. What was happening in your love life? Hi, Andrea. You were. Okay, was it good? Because we're back in the same cycle next year, and it's a really big relationship chapter. So Ara, I see you're here. Could you send me your birthday information? You can put it in the comments in the chat window and I'll pull up your chart. Oh, we have someone else from Russia. Look at that. We're wrapping up with all the Russian people. Yeah, Yulia. So I think you're on the right path, just with maybe Saturn going into Aries and squaring your moon and squaring your Saturn. Like you expect things to be like to require a little bit of patience and structure. Try not to rush into things. There might be a pressure to like rush into things with Saturn and Aries, which will be contradictory um to your like sort of tendency to move a little slower. I mean, you also have Aries in your chart, you have Venus in Aries, but I would recommend that you like take your time with things. But it's a really like lovely period for that. So you're saying you were dating someone between 2009 to 2012. Okay. So that's good. 2009 would have been that time, I think. And was it someone you met in 2009? Yulia, I hope it was helpful. If any of you ever want a full-size reading, you can book one on my website, anastasiadasastrology.com. So here's 2009, and here's North Node right next to your natal North Node. So this period from someone you knew from childhood. Okay. So the period that's coming up is going to bring really big kind of opportunities to date, I think. So be on the lookout. It is a good time. Also, you're born with Venus and Aries, and Venus and Aries can sometimes be, at least earlier in life, it can be a bit of a challenge for choosing people who are like, you may choose people that kind of stir deep feelings in you, but maybe they're like, I don't know, there may be competition in relationships. You may prefer chase over the conquest a little bit. There may be a little bit of like combative energy in relationships. I have Venus in Taurus candles, even Venus in Libra. That could be a good way to remediate some of that energy. So check out anastasiadasastrology.com, because that I would recommend that, I think, as like a good way to soothe the heart. No battles, no competition. Do you feel like maybe you attract people who are competitive? I'm sure there is a way this manifests, but it's a little hard to do so without without asking more questions, because Venus is here. She's in Aries. You're saying, yeah, that makes more sense, as in people you attract being that way. Okay. Okay, Yulia, it was nice to chat with you. I hope this was helpful. Jumping on to Ara. And again, if you already send me a payment, please jump on. Otherwise, I'm not taking any more payments, and I am going to wrap up really soon, just making sure. Пожалуйста, Юля. Очень приятно. If you have sent a payment, do let me know. But so far, we're going to Ara, who is half Russian, half Turkish. That's an interesting combination. Okay. Ara. June 2096. 4:15 p.m. Moscow. Are you still in Russia, or do you live somewhere else? Okay, so the question was, having difficulties in my love life, never dated anyone, and being queer makes it even harder. Is there any hope for me in the future? What can I do to improve my love life? Oh, you live in Turkey now. Okay. Do you speak Turkish and Russian? Both. Awesome. And English. Look at you. Multilingual. Okay. Sharing bilingual. But English and Italian? So countrylingual. Country I don't know how to say it properly. Okay. Ara. So does this look correct for you? Gemini Sun, Leo Moon, Libra Rising. Okay. Okay, so relationships are a point of difficulty. Um, I see it. I see it with Saturn in the seventh house. Sure. Saturn delays, Saturn doesn't deny. Delays doesn't deny, right? So that's an important thing to remember. You're born with South Node in the seventh house, South Node conjunct Saturn. So you are by nature someone who is a warrior. You may have been in past lifetimes someone who have dealt with a lot of challenges in relationships. Maybe you've been in a position where you couldn't rely on people. And it could be your past lifetime, it could be early in this lifetime. So you had to learn a lot of Saturnian energy. You had to learn how to survive, you had to learn how to take care of yourself. So now you find yourself in a position where you are perfectly capable of taking care of yourself and potentially of many other people. But that could also be your sort of unhealthy strategy to take care of other people or problem solve for other people. There could also be like a little bit of a fearful attitude. With Saturn in the seventh, you have to be really careful that you're not projecting energy on other people that you yourself have. Saturn in the seventh is this very tricky planet, right? Because seventh house is what we see in other people. It is your Saturn, but you will see it in other people. You will likely see other people as maybe they deny you, they're cold, they're distant, they are, they're only here to give you tough lessons and things like that. But oftentimes, when you have Saturn in the seventh, especially in your chart, when it's conjunct your south node, there might be this kind of sense that you are keeping your heart protected for whatever reason, and because you have things, and even looking at your Venus in retrograde, right? You're born with Venus retrograde. That's another sign of like relationships are really important, but there may be a lot of fears, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of insecurities that you need to work through first before you kind of unlock the relationship potential. So again, with Saturn, like being aware that there might be a part of you that you're saying, yes, I'm very distant and scared of letting people close. Yeah, and it's a really, really big deal. I have a friend with Saturn in her seventh house, and it's seemingly an exalted Saturn. Her Saturn is in Libra, and you would look at it and be like, that's a healthy Saturn. But she has so, like, her lists of things, of people are so long. Sorry, requirements are so long. She's like, he needs to be this way, and he needs to be that way, and he needs to be this way. And so she's not letting people in, right? There is this sort of seemingly rational reason to not let people in, but in reality, she ends up pushing sort of potential interests away. So I think with you working on yourself first, kind of opening yourself up to being vulnerable, choosing people not based on like, you shouldn't choose people because they're safe looking. You should choose people that have potential and care about you, and like just know that sometimes relationships will hurt you, but you will be okay. I think that's like an important lesson here. Carolina, yes, you did send me a donation last week. I might take a look at your chart. Mary Cole, you're saying you got your info in before the list closed. I don't know if I saw a donation from you. I am wrapping up. I might do Carolina's reading just because she sent her information last week. And so I want to make sure I like remove some people from my list from last week so I can like open it up. But yeah, I don't know, Mary, probably not today. Next week is better. The fried scream. Do we have to be on the live to get read? I have a work shift. Not if you specifically tell me that you are not going to be able to attend, but again, it would have to be next week. Okay, so okay, Ara. So yeah, so learning to kind of trust and let people in, and understanding that there may be some fears that you first have to work through. and like working on self-love with Venus retrograde, because when she's retrograde, she's like very aware and very, and it's also usually makes people with like really unique taste and sense of style, and sort of a lot more able to see people for who they are. It's a beautiful placement, I think. It's like often um mis misunderstood or doesn't get enough credit, but it could be like a very loving and attentive placement. And with your North Node in Libra, again, it sort of points us in the direction of self development, self awareness, self healing, right? Look at this, it's conjoining Chiron. So it's like learning to heal yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to soothe yourself through creativity, through working with other people, maybe like sort of going to a paint class or art class because you want to do it. And you may, I think a lot of times when you're more self-aware and you're like happier with yourself, you're more likely to attract the right person. But you are very young. You're just about to go through your first Saturn return, which could be the time when all of that comes into sharp focus for you, and you kind of, you become extra, even though it's already looking like, it's already looking like this is an important point of focus, but it might become even more so because it's your Saturn return. So it's a really good time to kind of say no to all the people that haven't, um, create like a clear version for you, like clear vision of who you want to attract, but also work a lot on self development, I think. Yeah, Carolina, I see that you sent donation last week. I do have your birthday information, I believe. I don't know if I have your question. I think you might be my last person, unless somebody else is here who sent the donation. But I think I'll do Carolina's, and then I'll probably wrap up for today. If you did send a donation, you're always on my list. I'll get to you. Just email me, or come next time. We can definitely do your reading. Yeah, Carolina, I have your information. I don't have your question. Ara says, I'm very much into fashion and love dressing up weird and work as an illustrator and writer. That's good. And another lesson with North Node in Libra, you kind of have to learn to build partnerships where things are more equal. So on one hand, like you have this ability to be alone or be the one who solves all the problems and takes care of everything. But part of your life lesson is like sometimes, even if you know what to do, just let the other person decide, right? Like let them take initiative, let them sort of show up for you. Don't kind of always try to be the one who is in charge. I think that's my answer to you. Ara, I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. Madita, you're saying you sent a donation. How did you send it? And did you send me an email with your information? And what is your, I don't know if I see your donation. I am going to do one more reading and then I'm going to wrap up. So I'm going to repeat this live next week. And if you want a reading, if you send me a donation, you can email me and, make sure you are on my list. Because sometimes it's like people have different names on their PayPal or other things that maybe I miss. So if you send me your donation, you should be on my radar. Carolina, what is your question? Ara is asking, should I wait for Saturn return in general? Saturn return could be the time when things become more open for you. If somebody is sending me a donation right now, my list is closed, but I will put you on my list and I'll get to you next week. Carolina, are you here? I need your question and then we should be good to go. Fran is saying, Ara was just going to say Saturn going into her 7th house, maturing in the relationship house. Yeah, I think Saturn return can open up this area for you. It can be the time when you sort of say no to things and relationships that do not fit you. It can also be the time when you become more discerning about who you're dating, like literally have a plan to go on a date every week and be religious about it. It could also be the time to get to know yourself a lot more. And then as you're working through this energy, it could be challenging at first because Saturn is not like the warmest planet. But in the long run, it could bring commitment and sort of exciting developments for sure. I don't know if Carolina is still here. I feel like she popped up, but then I don't see her anymore. You're welcome, Ara. Happy that you're here and happy that we were able to do your reading. So, for people who have sent me donations, I am going to put you on my list and I'm going to get to you in the next reading. I feel like Carolina is probably not here. If you sent a donation and I didn't get to you, I will do my best. I mean, I'll do it next week, just it's going to be the same time. I am going to wrap up because I've been live for an hour 45 minutes and I feel like my brain is turning into a mush. So I don't, again, I sort of want to do these with fresh brain. And so join me next week and then we can do more readings. Okay, let's see. Jay says you have a nice shop online. Thank you, Jay. I started creating candles and oils because I have Venus in her fall in my chart, and relationships were always something I really desired. I'm a Libra rising. So Libra risings, we do tend to idealize relationships on many levels, I think, and we tend to sort of really want to be in a relationship. And because my chart is ruled by Venus and she's in her fall, it's always been like tricky, I think, with relationships. And I started by creating talismans. Like I made a bracelet. It's so interesting. I made a bracelet and I was dating someone at the time and the bracelet like fell off my hand and disappeared. And then turned out that the person I was dating was like a total like mess. Nothing bad happened, but he was like not the right person at all. And then I made another bracelet and that was Venus in Pisces. And shortly after that, I started dating Pisces rising, and we're still together. And it's been 2.5 years at this point. So it works. And that's how I feel like I have Jupiter in Aries. And so Jupiter in Aries people tend to kind of discover themselves first, and then they bring whatever they've experienced and experimented on themselves, they bring it into the world. And so I started making candles and oils and sort of spiritual products. So it's all tried on myself first. So thank you guys. Jay, thank you for saying that Libras are really cool. I'm a Virgo sun, Virgo Venus, Virgo Mars, Gemini moon. So Libra is my rising and my Mercury, but I'm very multi-dimensional with that Jupiter and North Node in Aries. It's a lot of things. Okay, again, if you send me a donation and I didn't get to you, feel free to email me and sort of tell me that you sent the donation. Tell me your name that I should see the donation under. And I'll put you on my list and I'll get to you next week. I don't want to miss anyone. And so if you send a donation, you will be on my list. But enjoy the rest of your day. It was good to see you guys. It was lovely to do readings for you. And it's always fun. So we'll do more of these. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.